Okay, okay. I think we're recording. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hello, everybody. We haven't done a tutorial in a long time, and I feel kind of bad for that. I used to do them all the time when we first started Patreon. They got kind of sidetracked because my update schedule went off, and I've been trying to post stuff continuously forever, but it's been kind of tough. So I think I'm going to try and do one about every month or so. I've got my screen here. It's very janky. You can see all my icons and stuff here, but that's kind of so you can see my Photoshop setup here. And I just want to do like one thing a month, just talk about some stuff, little topics or little short tutorials I think might be helpful for people. And today, as you can see by the name of this file here, we are going to be talking about eyes. So it seems a bit weird. Yes, yes, yes. Seems like that's kind of strange. Eyes, right? Eyes are a big deal. And you end up drawing a lot of them as a comic artist, unfortunately. And it's a real pain in the ass. But today, let's talk about them. So the first thing I want to talk about, this is a very like realistic eye, isn't it? I'm drawing a sort of a realistic eye here, or a slightly more realistic eye. A lot of people draw their eyes like this. What's the problem with that? Well, it's very cartoony, right? But the problem is eyes aren't really shaped like this. They're not really built like this. They're much more three-dimensional. They have a lot more complexity to them. It's kind of weird because we see a very like if I draw like a little smiley face here, right? That's a very symbolic eye. But obviously, eyes, unless you're a Funko Pop, eyes aren't these like weird. Oh god, that's horrifying. They aren't these like weird black voids. Neither do they look like perfect circles, right? It's all a little different. So let's talk about what makes an eye an eye. What's interesting about it? What it looks like? Because what we're trying to get is we're trying to get form. Right, shape of an eye. We're trying to get the. I'm talking about coloring actually for an eye, and we're going to try and look about variance today briefly. So the first thing to know about eyes, right, is that eyes are not actually like a circle. They are inside your head, which is kind of creepy, right? But if you look at someone's head like this, right, here's a person's cheek. Something. Your eye is actually like this. It's like an eyeball, right? But what you've actually got on top of that is you've actually got eyelids that go on top of it like this, and they sort of cover that part up. So what you can actually see is this part in the middle here. So when you draw an eye, it's not actually shaped like a circle. It's shaped more like a football, if you think about it like that, right? Not like a actual football, but like it kind of curves and at the end it tapers. It's very basic, but we're going to go through it. Another thing about it is your eyes are actually different depending on left or right eye, because what happens is the top of this eye here, your top eyelid, it curves over like this, and your bottom eyelid has a kind of different curve like that. Actually, it's a little different. It's not great, but you'll see that your eyelid's got a lean that way, and it's got a bit of a lean this way. And if I do two eyes, you'll see what I mean. And by the way, this is all from reference. I'm all drawing this from reference from my own experience. I'm not just drawing this and making it up. I've actually gone and looked at eyeballs, which is a bit of a weird thing to say unless you're a character in a Bloodborne game. But you know, you can find all kinds of anatomy references out there, or just look at Google Images, which is what 90% of artists do anyway. You'll see these eyes are different, right? They're actually shaped differently. I mean, let's take the eyeball there and just move it below this one. You see how they have a different shape, right? Because one eye is kind of curving one way and one is curving the other. So that's the first thing. Don't mess the shape up. They're a bit weird. And if you're thinking about an eye in 3 dimensions, like I said, what it looks like is let's do like a Lido thing here. It's like an eyeball like this, and this is what your real actual eye looks like, which is kind of creepy, but it helps to visualize. And then you got a top lid like this, a little corner, and a bottom lid coming around like this. And your eye actually, bulges out a bit. It's a 3-dimensional object. and then you've got an eyelid coming over like this. And then you've got a brow, right? That's what your eye actually looks like inside your head. So what you see is this shape. Very useful to think about if you're visually minded like myself. A lot of times you can think about like drawing like anatomy, that kind of thing, just like this. Like think about three-dimensional shapes, right? I think I've talked about that before. So don't draw your little circular eyes. It looks very dead. It looks very fish-like, right? Like fish look like that, right? Yeah. Don't be a fish. People have different eyes. That's the first thing. Cool. Those are my eyes. Look at these lovely eyes. All right. That's the first thing to worry about. Second thing to worry about, your iris, right? That's this part. That's your iris. Your iris is not going to sit right in the middle of the eye most of the time. If I draw a nice eye here, it's not going to be right here. What that's going to do is make you look very surprised. Naturally, people's iris sits slightly under the top lid, like that, right? But it really depends where your character's looking. And also, of course, it'll change based on expression. If I draw an eye like this, that eye looks very surprised, right? Because the eye is in the middle. So people when they're surprised, they'll open their eyes wide. It exposes more of the white around the eye, and your iris looks quite small. A lot of people will draw eyes, like this, and like this one, and then they'll say, "Why my character looks surprised all the time?" Well, it's because your iris is not sitting where it normally does, where it should be just down here, right? Now, I tend to draw my characters with quite small pupils too, but you can actually draw them. People actually naturally have quite large pupils or large irises even. That's the variance part here, which I'll talk briefly about. But sometimes characters will have very large pupils, very large irises. Different looking eye, right? Here's some other stuff. The eyelid that goes over. You'll see it's very similar to the eye. It kind of curves in one direction. There's another thing here that's going on. You see the bridge of your nose is right here, which is why your eyelid kind of naturally ends there. There's also a bottom eyelid. I like to draw my people with very baggy eyes, but you don't have to. But often there's a bit of a bottom eyelid shape there too. Don't forget that. And the eyelid actually is quite close to the eye at the edge there, so it's kind of a downward slope. You can draw characters with if you want to draw more cartoony, with enormous. This is all sort of more realistic, but enormous eyelids, like giant eyelids or whatever. Certain people have a thing called an epicanthal fold, which is like a second eyelid, like white people usually, compared to people of Asian descent. So they'll have a fold like this, and then they'll have another fold here. And that's just something that happens in some ethnicities. People of Asian descent do not typically have an epicanthal fold, right? They're just one eyelid, like this, kind of. So they'll look a little different, which gives that sort of. They always describe it in old books as almond-shaped eyes, which is kind of, I don't know, always weird to me. But that's the difference, right? There are actually some differences. And finally, the eyebrow, you'll see, is very similar, right? It's thinner on one side, and it's thicker on the other. And again, there are some differences in eyebrows. If you can draw characters with really thick eyebrows, right? Really, you draw a character with a really thick eyelid, really bushy eyebrow, Women, as a rule, when you draw them, I'm not talking about all women, I'm just talking about artistic impressions of women, tend to have slightly thinner and higher brows. Men read with heavier and lower brows. Of course, this is not the same for everybody. Right, I'm not going to say that eyes have gender, that's stupid, but and you should really vary things up, but that's how typically women are drawn. If I draw a character with a lower and thicker brow, it's going to read more masculine, right? Maybe you have a masculine lady, or whatever, and then they have thicker lower brow. Allison has really thick eyebrows, and they're quite low. Look at all these beautiful eyes. Let's draw a weird snake eye here. Hell yeah. There you go. And of course, yeah, you can screw around with this kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So that don't draw like a circle and a line on top of your brow and a little dot like that. Think about the shape of the eye. This too big red thing here. Right? Think about the shape of the eye. It has a particular shape. It's got the lid. It's got the eyelids going in a particular way. You might draw eyelashes on the character. I don't typically, but you know, you can draw some eyelashes in there. That's pretty popular. Men and women both have eyelashes. I have beautiful, gorgeous eyelashes. A lot of men have amazing eyelashes. Shouldn't be afraid to draw them. Just like people forget to draw lips on men all the time, which is just weird. I don't get it. Right? You can draw. You know, these kind of bad eyelashes, but they'll vary. You can draw very long eyelashes, maybe. You go, ooh, yeah. Okay, so that's sort of the form of eyes. Think about that. Just use my examples here. Look at the internet. Look at like people's actual eyes. Look at your own eye, in fact, in the mirror, and you'll see it has this shape to it. This is not something that is a hard rule, but it's like all eyes generally look. They generally look like this, right? They look like this stuff instead of this, which is a lot more symbolic and can read weird if you're doing it that way. Another little thing to watch out for, I like to draw very realistic eyes. They have this little guy, I forgot what it's actually called, this guy, in the corner of an eye. Your tear duct, right? And there's a little one on the edge here, but it's smaller. And that, if you draw that in, it can also be nice. There's a sort of, you see, I've done this I've done this in some of these drawings. There's a little fold there. Okay, cool. Let's talk about coloring eyes. So I'm going to set this layer to multiply in Photoshop. That means everything beneath it is going to count the white areas as transparent. It's a really easy way to do your lines. Let's give a skin tone to this eye here, and let's color it in. Let's do a lighter skin tone. I have no bias in either way. I'm just feeling like this is going to be easier for me to demonstrate since I'm coloring Allison's eyes in all the damn time. And she is a white girl from Los Angeles. Alright. That's our lovely skin tone. Cool. So again, an eye is a three-dimensional object. And your eyelid and the space around it, your actual eye space is a three-dimensional object. So we're going to start really basic. And we're going to do something we'll do. Let's give this person, let's give him like I'm really bad at coloring brown eyes. I'm terrible at it. Let's try it. Here's a nice brown eye. There we go. Hey. A lot of people stop here, right, when they're coloring eyes in. And there's kind of a problem with this. The first thing is this is a three-dimensional space, right? There's actually like some shading going on here. So remember I talked about this guy here, this example. This is an overhanging space here. See, I don't know if you can see this. This is an overhanging space here, right? There's actually some shadow there. There's a bit of shadow below the eye because that's, as it protrudes a little bit. Maybe you have someone with really protruding eyes, that'll be really apparent. There's a bit of a space here, right? I'm going to draw it in, color in here. You can show you guys as well. It's up the opacity there. I'm using a sort of lower opacity. I use like the basic Photoshop brushes, by the way. People always like, what brushes do you use, man? I'm like, the Photoshop ones with like 100% hardness, and I probably shouldn't, but like whatever. It doesn't really affect anything. Right? So you'll see there's our eyeball colored in a bit. In some people, this is actually so your eyes are so deep that your eyelid actually is a bit shadowed too, because you actually have a skull beneath this. Would you believe? There's a skeleton in all of us. I know, but like this area is like your eye socket, kind of, right? So that's why it's sunken into your skull a bit. There's actually that phrase like hooded or deep set eyes. Well, your eyes actually are quite deep set. Okay, so we got kind of a thing going on here. Not too bad. What's the problem here? This still looks a bit artificial. Why? Because your eyeball is not white. I know that sounds weird, but it's not. It is actually an off-white. It's actually closer to the color of your skin than pure white. You'll see in a second when I actually do a little overlay in this. Do you notice how that instantly looks a little better, right? Still a little dark, but you know, a really easy way to do this is actually just to eyedropper the skin color and just go over it. I'll show you with like a low opacity brush. See, it blends things in a bit. Still looks pretty good, right? But here's another thing: your eyeball is a three-dimensional object, right? It actually protrudes slightly. It has a bit of curvature to it, so it's actually a bit of shadow from your eyelid. Isn't that crazy? I like to use red because actually this bit right here, this is actually, you know, it's kind of a, you can actually see the inside of your eyelid sometimes. I know that's weird, but you can if you're peering at it. And you know, we're just going to color in the edge. I'm going to put some shadow in there. I'm going to go over again with this guy. I'm actually going to make it darker because I want to demonstrate. It's actually really easy. You can work either down or up, right? You can work like more shadows into things, or you can start dark and you can work lighter. I like to start dark and work lighter. Cool. There's a bit of, so you'll see we're actually giving a bit of, there's some three-dimensionality going on here, right? Look at that, see? Does this not look a billion times better? I mean, it's probably still a bit inaccurate, but, right, let's add a bit of your little tear ducts, right? I like adding a bit of red here. People are full of blood, they're full of all kinds of weird stuff. There's all kinds of like edge lighting and stuff on people's eyes that you want to give a, skin is like interesting. There's all kinds of stuff going on with skin. It's not just a flat color, right? I'm just doing whatever here. Alright, cool. Now we got the eyeball. The iris itself needs a bit of work, so your iris is also got a bit of, you'll actually see, if you look at an iris up close, it's really creepy. It looks like this. And your eye is actually here, and then it's actually it's like a sphincter. It's really weird. I know that sounds awful, but it is a muscle. It's got all kinds of striations and stuff in it, and you can add that in. I mean, I'm not gonna do that with every eye. Jesus, that's way too dark. Every eye I draw, geez, that's still way too dark. We're gonna turn the opacity down. There you go. Oh, it still looks weird. All right, we're just gonna go over it. Oh no. Oh, that's why, because it's on the, see, I'm on my lines layer here. Don't do that. Don't make a mistake like me. There you go. There you go. That looks better. Still doesn't look great. I told you I'm really bad at coloring brown eyes. I can't do it for the life of me. All right. Hey, it looks right. All right, we're gonna call it. Probably would use a smaller brush here. Okay, still good, right? Does that not look a billion times better? It does. I know it does. You can't lie to me and tell me it doesn't. Gonna add a little drop shadow in there. There you go. Cool. Cool. See? More like a three-dimensional object. In fact, we're gonna add a bit of. There we go. It's a real person here, right? Gonna be cheeky and add a little skin light here too. Right? Damn! Look at that. Wow. And there's one more thing we're missing here, which is a reflection, because your eyeball is a wet surface. If it doesn't look wet, it's going to look a little lifeless, like a doll. So you don't want to be too shiny, but a trick you can do here, by the way, is going over your lines layer with this, so it actually overlaps the lines a bit. I always do like a top right highlight, which is probably terrible. I shouldn't do it all the time. There you go. There's a little underlight here from the light that's coming reflected off of your body and your skin this way. And there's a light from the top light here. And of course this will change, you know, like maybe like there's a light over here. You don't really have to pay attention to it. You can just cheat and do a top right light like I do in every single scene. You guys go check on my comics, you'll see it's like that. Look at that eye. What a beautiful eye, right? Pretty nice. Pretty nice, right? And, you know, I wish I made a duplicate, but if you went back to look what we started with, or even like the flat, do you see the flat surface there? You see the flat eye here? In fact, I'll just eyedropper some colors up, and we'll do a little, we'll even take that light off there. Pardon me. I'm sorry for I don't really have any like audio editing guys, so you're gonna have to go with all my weird quirks and stuff here as I'm talking. Cool. There you go. Check it out. And there we are, right? Look at the difference. I know I just colored one in, but like, pretty unreal. Alright. That's really all for now, guys. Just want to kind of make you aware of this stuff. There's a lot of variance in eyes, but I'm sort of running out of time on my video here. Just try and look at different pictures. Like I said before, different ethnicities have different shaped eyes sometimes. Different people have different shaped eyes. Some people have like really gnarly eyelids, like my grandpa's got like crazy eyelids, you know, like really deep, thick eyelids or something, a lot of wrinkles and you know, all eyes look different, like all people. So don't just stick to one style. I'm really guilty of this. I'm trying to get better at it. Like if I'm drawing like Sio's eyes, she's got weird like, you know, she's got like weird cat eyes. Alison's got very round eyes. These are terrible, and with a really thick brush. But you get the point. Anyway, guys, look forward to more of this. Hopefully, I'll be able to get more of these out to you probably once a month. Let me know if you have any other suggestions for stuff you want to see, and I'll try and get them to you in the future. All right, cheers, guys.